In the short film Stop, the use of close-up on the drugs is useful because the audience are helped in order to identify what kind of drugs the character is using. Also, a convention of coming-of-age genres usually includes drugs. This helps to emphasize the use of it by a teenager. A long shot is used in the short film Ferry Bullet's Day Off. This is used in order to highlight and to show the events that are taking place in the short film. Low and high angles are used in short films Almost Famous and This Is England. Low and high angles are used in Almost Famous in order to highlight actions and portray the character's stupidity. It is also used in This Is England in order to highlight authority. An example of a handheld camera work being used is from the short film The Most Beautiful Thing. By having it handheld, we are able to see through the character's perspective and it makes the film more realistic. In terms of sound, silence is a very important factor in just sound. Silence in the short film My Daughter's Boyfriend emphasizes issues taking place. Silence emphasizes awkward situations in which take place in this short film. Diegetic sound is also used through the form of a dialogue in the coming-of-age film Almost Famous.
I'm on drugs!
It shows the teenager going from innocence to doing something stupid. This indicates a journey. This is shown through the experimental drug. Alcohol is also another feature of the coming-of-age genre. Alcohol is a non-diegetic soundtrack is used in the film from the time. It symbolizes the era through the soundtrack. As the music sounds very classic, you are able to hear violins and instruments that use strings. This is usually used in films that are made from the 60s, 70s and 80s. In terms of mise-en-scène, there are many examples of conventions in which can be shown as a feature of coming-of-age genre. For example, this includes guns, knives, drugs, alcohol, mobile phones, hospitals, cities, police stations, a flat, schools, high-key lighting, but low-key depending upon the theme, estates, flats, costumes depending upon the time period, bedrooms, posters, casual clothing, a main protagonist that is mainly male, and usually minimal makeup. Alcohol is also another feature of the coming-of-age genre. Alcohol is as well as the same as drugs. It is very experimental and it is a time where teenagers are able to experiment with substances and liquids like this. Another important characteristic and convention of a coming-of-age genre is a bedroom. Inside the bedroom is where we are able to establish the character. This can be seen through the colour of the bedroom, what they have on their walls. For example, posters, which gives us symbolism of what this character may be like. Costume depends very much upon the time period. In the short film 5 Deep Breaths, the characters are seen to be wearing baggy clothing. In comparison to the Worlds We Created short film, where the character is seen to be wearing casual clothing. This is important because it indicates, according to the time period, the characters may be seen to be wearing something that is appropriate and is in style at that time. Another example is drugs. Drugs is typically portrayed as a convention of coming-of-age genre, as teenagers are typically seen to be trying these sorts of substances as they are growing up. It is often seen as experimental. An example of this is knives. Knives can be seen as a stereotypical item in which teenagers carry in order for protection. Others, instead of seeing it as protection, might see it as a threat. Low-key lighting is used in coming-of-age films more now than ever. This is because it establishes the difference between being social and antisocial. If a teenager is seen to be antisocial, they would be stuck in their room all day with the lights off. This signifies how antisocial the teenager might be. Mobile phones is another feature which is significant in terms of highlighting conventions of a coming-of-age film. Being social is part of the key things about being a teenager, and this is one of the things that stand out when showing what a teenager is like. In the short film Bombshell, the protagonist is seen to be central to the frame, which is a convention of a coming-of-age film. As a coming-of-age film usually surrounds one character, by being central to the frame, it keeps the audience interested and reminds the audience constantly that this film is mainly about this character. In terms of editing, there are various editing techniques used in order to establish what a coming-of-age genre is. Cutaways are used, as well as push-ins, dynamic cuttings, reaction shots, and split screening, flashbacks, as well as slow motion. An example of a cutaway is in the film She is a Fox. Cutaways are often used where there are big groups within a scene. It helps to establish the characters' emotions and their responses. This helps to capture important moments. Split screens are also usually used in coming-of-age films. For example, friendship groups. When a friendship group or friends are having a conversation, you can see all of the friends' emotions and facial expressions through split screening. A reaction shot is used to help establish a character's response. By looking at two different characters, you are able to see the way in which a character responds to the other.